Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, do my comic reviews for the week. Okay, first of all, from Boom, Darkwing Duck number 11. Gosling and Quack are able to get out of their, are able to defeat 2 out of 3 of the foul agents, but unfortunately they get captured. Meanwhile, Steelbeak, Darkwing, and Foxy are running from a giant robot. And unfortunately, Steelbeak and Foxy get stuck in a freeze-away, so Darkwing is able to use Steelbeak as a bat and take out the robot. And meanwhile, back at St. Canard, Launchpad gets possessed by Duck Thulu, and Morgana transforms herself into someone who's possessed so that she can follow to figure out where Duck Thulu is rising, which will obviously be Foul Headquarters. Meanwhile, Foxy notices Gosling and Quacker being kidnapped. No, Honker, that's his name. Honker kidnapped. So she's able to make sure they get out safe, or into the hands of a bunch of egghead monks. And Steelbeak and Darkwing find the chamber of Duck Thulu, and Steelbeak betrays Darkwing by knocking him out. And for a brief moment here, Steelbeak breaks the fourth wall and says, "Wow, I didn't see this twist coming. I mean, really." And Morgana finds out that Duck Thulu's being resurrected at Foul Headquarters, and that apparently Foul needs to use Darkwing Duck, who's a character of high spirits and an exaggerated self-image. And they're successfully able to bring Duck Thulu to life. So that was a little doom for the Darkwing Duck universe. I'd still say this is a fun read, and pick it up if you're a fan of the TV series. Okay, now for Invincible. Alright, there's a huge spoiler in this, and for the sake of the review, I will tell it. So, I'd say skip this part of the review if you don't want to know what happens, okay? Alright, get to work. Mark goes and sees his tailor and tells him that his dad's back, and Mark makes one final request to his costume, which is to return it to the original design from like way back before Invincible got the black and blue costume. See, we got fingerless gloves and knee pads. And so Mark pretty much goes to work, takes out several supervillains and world disasters, and he also finds out that over the course, while he was gone, his mom and girlfriend Eve have become friends. And his dad Nolan is at the Pentagon, and people are still very uncomfortable around him. And also at Stronghold Penitentiary, Dinosaurus returns. And for tonight's entertainment, Mark and Eve go and have dinner with the Immortal and Kate, or aka Duplicate. And apparently they've had twins. So they pretty much have dinner with them, and of course while Eve's helping Kate with the twins, she kind of breaks down and leaves. And when Mark goes to talk to her, Eve reveals the truth about what happened to their baby. And, okay, spoiler alert, Eve got an abortion. Yeah, so instead of what probably everyone thought about Eve pretty much telling Mark that they're pregnant and they decide to raise a family, she tells him that she got an abortion because she was scared, because Mark was halfway around the galaxy and she was afraid and alone. She didn't know what to do. So yeah, and of course Mark is pretty much they're both really sad about all this, and that's where the issue ends. Alright, well, for me, I was kind of depressed towards the end. I'm not going to lie to you there. That was a pretty depressing ending. I mean, it was something that I did not expect. I liked the twist of it, not the actual information that she got an abortion. It was just very depressing, yet not what I expected. So, I would say, if you've been following this story and you love Invincible, then pick it up. But otherwise, if you're having a crappy day, then I would say skip it. Alright, and speaking of things that suck, Invincible Iron Man 503. We learned that Dr. Octopus didn't really create a bomb. No, there was no bomb. and that really he just wanted to hear Tony Stark beg, call him master, say that he's smarter than him, and that's just it. That's all it was. Just one big ego trip for Doc Ock. And Tony gets approval to build the Asgardians a new city. And pretty much the only thing Doc Ock got was footage of Tony Stark saying that he's smarter than him. That was it. And this does tie into Fear Itself for like maybe the last 2 pages where it says be continued in the pages of Fear Itself #1. Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting Fear Itself, so I'm pretty much dropping Invincible Iron Man at this point. This was just a lame ending. It sucked. Yeah. Definitely not worth $4. Skip it. Now for something that I do love from Marvel. Avengers Academy. The students of the Academy now have to fight Korvac, one of the most powerful foes of the Avengers, and they get to do it with the bodies of their future selves. And of course, Stryker's pretty happy. Stryker and Finesse and Reptile are pretty excited, but Hazmat, Vale, and Metal, they aren't, because Hazmat's still in her suit, Metal's still, well, metallic-y, and Vale, even though she has her form, she's pretty much a ghost. She can't touch anything. Oh, and Reptile can now change to a full dinosaur now that he's an adult, since in this future he's been able to figure... Dr. Pym's pretty much able to help him overcome the law of conservation of matter. So the kids get to work and bring the fight to Korvac. Unfortunately, though, Stryker dies, and but when he dies, though, he turns back into the body of his present self, and he runs out like a little wimp. Metal, Finesse, and Reptile are trying their best, but ultimately the heroes are Vale and Hazmat, because Vale in her gaseous form is somehow able to take control of Korvac and hold him still, while Hazmat, her future self, is able to create dark antimatter, which is pretty much the Korvac's Achilles heel. So she's able to do that and take out Korvac, and Korvac's wife is able to restore everyone back to their present selves except for Reptile, who's still in his adult form. And Dr. Pym's explanation behind that is because Reptile's powers derive from magic, which is unpredictable, and it's also because Reptile wanted it. Because now Reptile has control over his powers. They're pretty much at their prime. He can become a full dinosaur, not lose control, and go savage. So he's happy. And also, while she was in Korvac, Vale learned how to fix her condition. So now she can still... She's slowed the risk of becoming a ghost-like substance, but she can still use her powers, but she's not going to die anymore. So that's very fortunate. And also, Dr. Pym does get some reassurance about finding Janet again. And Stryker, he's still angry about it, and he starts to question if he's willing to lay down his life to being an Avenger. And the Student Lounge, Metal and Hazmat are just kind of disappointed because their futures, they weren't changed. They're still going to be this way. Fortunately, though, since Metal isn't affected by Hazmat's powers, she's able to take her helmet off around him. So that's good. Alright, Avengers Academy. This was a great issue. I love the changes in each of the characters, especially with that twist with Reptile that now he gets to keep his adult body and transform to a full dinosaur, and Vale's no longer dying. I am disappointed, though, for Mel and Hazmat, but hey, it seems like they found each other. Which is good. And if this leads to Stryker getting off the team, then good, because if you've seen my reviews of this book, then you know that I hate Stryker, and he's kind of a douchebag, in my opinion. Well, now that that's all done, time for DC. Young Justice number 3. This issue takes place between the 2nd and the 3rd episodes. Robin pretty much discovers that Cadmus was working for the League of Shadows, and he's able to determine their next target. and he wants to work with just Aqualad and Kid Flash, just so that he could kind of like make them work together and sort of dust off the cobwebs or something. Well, they've worked together in the past, and Robin wants to be sure this works well. And unfortunately, it doesn't go well, because even though the three members are able to put up a good fight, they get taken out and strung up by Hook and Black Spider. And that's where it ends. Get this only if you're a fan of the Young Justice TV show, okay? That's my only reason I would think anyone would get this. Alright, Teen Titans number 94. Solstice recounts the story of the Hindu epic Ramayana, about and how this is related to what's going on with them, with Solstice's parents, Dr. Sandsmark, and Cassie being taken into the demon world. And after she recounts her story, Red Robin is able to figure out how they can get in there. So the Titans arrive, and they get ambushed. And Raven because they're in the land of demons, Raven loses control. Raven loses control and attacks everything, but they're alright, except Red Robin is kidnapped, and so is Ravager, and she gets replaced by Shapeshifter. And Raven's still feeling pretty distressed. And we learn that the villain behind all this is Rancor, the villain from the story Solstice told at the beginning, and that he plans to use the captured Titans and archaeologists so that he could find a way into the real world, so to speak. Okay? This wasn't really that bad. I mean, it's not the best this week, but it's not that bad. I liked it. It was fun. Well, not fun, more like interesting to see how this kind of develops. Sort of, well, you know, I have more of a wait-and-see attitude with this. It looks to be something good, especially since it kind of emphasizes on Solstice's powers of light versus Raven's powers of darkness. Legion of Superheroes number 12. The only thing I got from this was maybe just apparently Legion of Supervillains versus the Legion of Superheroes. I mean, if you love action, I'd recommend this because there is a ton of fight scenes in this. You got Lightning Lad and Ada versus Phantom Girl, Ultra Boy, and Colossal Boy. And then you've got, let's see here, another fight. Let's see here. Invisible Kid and Element Lad and Timberwolf versus Sun Killer Romulus and another Koluan, I didn't catch his name, and Saturn Queen on Kolu. And Saturn Queen is able to take control of Brainiac 5 and Earthman, and able to overcome Earthman even though he absorbed her powers. And so apparently, the only thing I can gather what the Legion of Supervillains is trying to do is just sort of reach this eternal place and stuff and achieve godhood. Yeah. But again, if you love superhero fight, I would get this book if you love superhero fights. That's it. Artwork's amazing though. So, pick it up if you love the fights. Alright, now for a great edition this week. War of the Green Lanterns, parts 4 and 5. I love how Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps are coming out in the same week because you can read two parts side by side to sort of get the flow of the story. A smooth transition for the story. Alright, now for War of the Green Lantern. Okay, now for this part in Green Lantern. Corona is able to directly influence Kilowog's ring with Parallax and overpower the will Kilowog had when he was possessed by Parallax. So now Kilowog is under Corona's control. But Hal and Guy are able to find the greenhouse, and they get into a ship that an old manhunter carrier that Hal modified, and they decide to go to Oa to find John and Kyle. But when they get there, they encounter some turbulence named Kilowog. Fortunately, the two lanterns get out through an escape pod, and they meet their comrades. And Hal realizes that in order to get that, they need to take Parallax out. They need to reach the central power battery in order to get Parallax out. And the only option and when Carol and the others were sucked into the black book, their rings were still there. So now they're going to be wearing power rings, but they're not green. Guy chooses red because he's had experience with the red ring. Hal, he chooses fear because fear's pretty much played a big role in his life. Kyle, he chooses hope because of what Ganth had said in the last issue of Green Lantern Corps, that he's pretty much filled with hope. And John Stewart does go for orange, but Hal warns him that that would be too much, so he tells John that he should go with compassion because he's felt John's always had it. And so now the four Green Lanterns are now the red, yellow, purple, and blue lanterns. Which brings us to Green Lantern Corps number 59. Ganthe is doing his best to hold off the possessed Green Lanterns, but he's clearly losing. So now, it's all up to these guys. But, unfortunately, John can't get the Indigo Ring to work. Well, he can't get to channel energy. And Kyle's is pretty much useless if it's not in the presence of a Green Lantern. But when the Green Lanterns do arrive, though, and unfortunately, Kyle's ring can't help but keep charging the green rings. And John can't get his to work, but Hal's able to give him a shield and give him cover to escape. Fortunately, they find Ganthet, but Ganthet's shocked at their plan and calls it a mistake since Kyle's not fit to wear a blue ring, and having John Stewart in Indigo ring is a poor choice, and Guy in a red ring is clearly a death sentence. So Ganthet tells Kyle to try to use the blue ring to break into the minds of the Green Lanterns, and for a brief moment the Lanterns retreat, and Kyle thinks it worked, but boom! Big green energy beam from Mogo. Corona now has Mogo under his control, which is just a nice way of saying that basically Corona has his own little Death Star. Yeah, so now it's up to these. So now four non-Green Lanterns with only 2 working rings against a Death Star. Let's see how that's going to turn out next week in Green Lantern Warriors number 9. Alright, well, I'm going to review these, try to give you my overall opinion about these two together. Pretty interesting way about how that did occur to me from the last issue of Green Lantern, the last part of the war, where Kyle and Guy were stuck on the ice planet and discussing how they were going to get back to Oa. And I kind of thought about how Hal had all the other power rings, so they could use those. And as far as I like the choices in this about their color, about the power rings they chose. Well, I mean, John surprised me a little, and Guy is a Red Lantern. I sort of saw that, but Hal wearing Sinestro's ring, that was a big surprise. And Kyle being a Blue Lantern, it kind of made sense to me. I mean, Kyle is the artist. He kind of has the most hope of all these guys, so, you know. And Hal wearing the yellow ring makes sense since he was pretty much the only one of these possessed by Parallax for a very long time, so he would pretty much know fear. Yeah. Green Lantern Corps, War of the Green Lanterns is amazing. I'd recommend picking it up if you're a Green Lantern fan. It's amazing. Okay. And that's pretty much the end of the review. So just a quick recap. War of the Green Lanterns is awesome. Definitely pick it up. Legion of Superheroes number 12. Get it if you're a fan of superhero fights. Teen Titans number 94. I would say it's if you're a fan of Raven, then get it because she does kind of lose control in this for a brief moment, but it looks like it could be a great story. Young Justice number 3. Get it if you're a fan of the TV show. Avengers Academy number 12. I loved it. If you've been following this series since the beginning, then pick it up. Invincible Iron Man number 503. Skip it, burn it. It sucked. Invincible number 79. Don't read this if you're having a bad day. Darkwing Duck number 11. Fun, great, I love it. And comic of the week, I would say would have to go to Avengers Academy number 12 because it does answer some of the issues that's been plaguing the students since the beginning of the series. Okay, and that's my comic review for this week. Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.